Hey guys, Beth Tuttle here. Today's video, I wanted to really help you understand the impact that stress has on our lives. And in order to have a visual for that, I'm going to use this water bottle. Now, if I asked you if this water bottle was heavy, you'd probably say no. If I asked you if you could hold it for a minute or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you'd probably say no problem. What if I told you you had to hold it for an hour, or 8 hours, or a day, or a week? Suddenly this bottle that started out so light would become a heavy burden. That is exactly how stress works in our body. If we stress about something and we can come up with a solution and we let it go, that's how our brains were wired to deal with stress. The problem is that we have all of these stressors that we're dealing with. We live in such a fast-paced world, all this technology, we're constantly turned on. So when we stay in that stress mode on a daily, on a weekly basis, that's when it wreaks havoc on our immune system. Did you know that 80 to 90% of all doctor visits are stress related? That is a huge number. Do you really ever stop and think about how much you're really stressing on a daily or weekly basis? I don't think most of us do. Because again, like I said before, we live in such a fast-paced world, we almost look at it as if stress is normal. Or if we're not stressing, something must be wrong, or we're not accomplishing what we need to accomplish. We need to change that way of thinking. When our ancestors stressed out, they may stress because a tiger is coming into the cave. So those stress hormones release in their body, and they can fight or flee. The problem is the things that we stress about, whether it's our finances, our jobs, health issues, sitting in a traffic jam, all of those things cause the same reaction as if that tiger is coming in the cave. Our brain cannot distinguish the difference. It's still going to release all of those stress hormones. Our heart rate is going to increase. Our digestion is going to slow down. Our breathing will increase. Our creative side of our brain literally shuts down because the blood is leaving our brain, going to our limbs, our arms and legs, so that we can fight or flee. Even though when we're sitting in a traffic jam, we don't need to fight or flee. But that's exactly what our body is telling us. That's how stress is programmed. So when we constantly run our own programs and recordings in our mind about things we're stressing on, and that never turns off, our body starts by, I call it, whispering to us. It might start with an achy feeling in the neck and shoulders, maybe a slight headache, maybe a little tightness in the chest, and people will say, oh, that happens to me on and off on a daily basis. It usually blows off. It's just from my stress, and think it's normal. It's not normal, because those whispers that our body starts off with will end up turning into our body yelling at us. And that's when we start, or we get more sicknesses. It might just start out with colds or flus, but then it can turn into heart attack, stroke, diseases like autoimmune deficiencies, cancer, MS. I really feel that stress is the precursor to all illness and disease. So what do we do about that? In a video I created a while ago, I told you to create a stress journal. If we're not aware of what we're stressing about, we can't change it. So the first thing is to become aware. And again, like I said, most of us think it's just normal to stress. It's just part of life. So we just blow the things off. So really think about the things that are charging us, that we're really getting anxious about or worrying about or angry about. Write those down in your journal. And then once you're aware of them, what's the next step? Well, there's not a one-size-fits-all here. I've created several videos on my website introducing you to different energy techniques or exercises, EFT, forms of meditation or breathing. It can be as simple as you getting more involved in a hobby that you enjoy, dancing to music, playing with your children. Find something that brings you back into the present moment. And that will start deconditioning your brain, turning that alarm system off in your brain, stopping those stress hormones from releasing. A lot of times when people perform some kind of mindfulness technique, they say, oh, I don't have that much time. I can't sit and meditate for an hour. Mindfulness is not just about meditating. It's just about being present, acknowledging the present, living in the now. So many of us are missing out in what's happening right now because we're constantly worrying about what happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future, and those stress hormones are just being released 24/7 in our bodies. And eventually, it just runs us down, and we end up sick with illness and disease. So I am going to encourage you to give yourself a gift. And the gift is finding a technique, one or two, whatever you want. Find something that can bring you back in the present moment and stop that program that's running, that stress program that's constantly on in your brain. And again, it can be as simple as just paying attention to your breath. Take a minute and put your hands on your heart. Breathe in through your nose. Hold that breath for a few seconds. Release that breath. And just doing that for 30 seconds or a minute can bring you back in your body and decondition your brain and let it know that you're safe. It's okay. You don't need to stress on all of these things. And eventually, it will just become part of your daily routine. So instead of your daily routine being turning on that stress, that alarm in your brain every day, have the routine be where you're bringing yourself back into the present moment. I hope this video was helpful. If you're watching it anywhere else but my website, you can head over there at bethtuttle.com. I would love for you to leave any comments below, things you use to reduce stress. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.